Tune in each and every Sunday to WERS for the New Caribbean Connection at a new time from 5:30 to 8 p.m. each and every Sunday. WERS and the New Caribbean Connection giving you a new dimension in music. Caribbean
We're at FM
music.
88.9 with Roger Steffens and music by Joe Higgs. What's up, Roger?
The cut that was taken off No Nuclear War. Stupidly, by whom, I don't know, but I think it would have been the strongest track on the album. It's called, what is it called? It's called Jammin' in a Jam Down. And then, I'm going to play you an excerpt from a tape. And one of the reasons I quit the reggae beat last May was that I had a listening stack bigger than most people's whole collections that I had never heard once. And at the very bottom of it, about a month ago in L.A., I found a tape that I have had for 4 years and never listened to. And what a gaping anus I felt like. Because there were 7 acoustic solo Peter Tosh tracks on it. 2 instrumentals, Legalize It, done as a Tim Hardin folk song. The Uncollected Wailers single of Fire, Fire was on there. Can't You See, Reaction was on there. A song called I'm Getting Disgusted, Don't Wanna Get Busted.
Are we going to be able to hear that?
You're going to hear that now. You're going to hear the unreleased cut from No Nuclear War, and then you're going to hear I'm Getting Disgusted, Don't Want to Get Busted. And he just walked in on this woman. He was between planes, and he took a cab to the station because he heard there was reggae on the air in Eugene, and that Eugene was the heart of the region that supported herb growing, and I'm on a cultivator, so I'm on want to support you. And she asked him the wrong question. She said, would you do for us what Bob Marley did last month? And you could just sense the whole tone freezing. And she says, would you do a station break like Bob Marley did? And he said, what station this? And she said, KZEL. So he goes, you are listening to KZEL, right here in the southern part of hell.
Vincent Price style.
Yes.
All right, well, here we go with Peter Tosh at FM 88.9 WERS Boston.
Jamalina Jam Dog. Have some faith. Have some faith, my brother. Please have some faith. Have some faith, my sister. And I say, Jamalina Jam Dog. I say to have some faith. Have some faith, my brother. Please have some faith. Have some faith, my sister. Cause there are many tribulations you'll have to go through every day. There are so many temptations coming to you every way. And I say, Jamanina Jamdog, yeah. Have some faith, my brother. Jamanina Jamdog. I say, have a little faith, my sister. There are so many provocations coming around your way today. There'll be so many tribulations coming your way today. And I say, Jamanina Jamdog, yeah. Won't you have some faith? Have a little faith, my brother. I say, Jamanina Jamdog. Disgusted. When will the laws adjusted? getting disgusted. Where when we lost it. Don't wanna get busted. Don't wanna get busted. I'm getting disgusted. They cannot be trusted. End up in jail. And you never get paid. Got to face a judge. And if you're rich, him will grudge. I'm getting disgusted. I don't want to get busted. They cannot be trusted. I don't know who don't get disgusted. Man want to walk free. He want to smoke free. Out of captivity. Cause he's getting disgusted. And he don't want to get busted.
Faded.
Peter Tosh at FM 88.9. I have a few miscellaneous questions I'd like to toss at you.
Miss on.
Are you ready? What kind of writing did you do for Option magazine?
Oh, let's say I wrote a cover story on fella Cootie with the world's worst cover picture. That they butchered. But it's a nice magazine. And a profile of Joe Higgs. And a couple of reviews, a Gladiator story. Yeah.
And I noticed that at one point I read somewhere that you were just saying that with minority music there was such a pressure or such a priority placed on playing new music every week that the music didn't get any repetitive play on the air and that was hurting the music. What do you think of that in radio philosophically, playing familiar versus unfamiliar, or satisfying the audience versus educating them?
Well, are you familiar with the magazine that we do, the Reggae and African Beat?
Yeah.
All right, the new issue, the Sly and Robbie issue, has a long letter from a disc jockey, I think in Florida, who addresses that, because it's come up in recent issues a lot. And it's an impossible situation, and it mitigates against longer cuts, which is African music. I mean, you got a fella cut that's 18 minutes long. You're lucky to get it on the air once, even half. And with reggae, not many places in America have the luxury of 5 days a week drive time reggae, as this great station lets people have. So you're reduced, in my case, to 2 hours a week, and Hank had 2 hours a week. And we wanted to put all the great interviews we had access to, all the great live concerts that the artists let us make board tapes of, all the historic Bob Marley material that surfaced constantly in our lives, along with all the great brand new releases from Canada, the United States, England, Jamaica, and now Japan and Africa and Australia. It's impossible. I mean, every single time I repeated a track, I felt guilty. Every time. So I don't know. I still don't know the answer to that problem.
Do you have any thoughts on how distribution of reggae in Jamaica could be improved?
Yeah, they could start distributing it.
Yeah.
Sounds facetious, but I mean it. It's tragic. It's after all these years, for example, there is still no copyright law protecting Jamaican artists. And Siaga, who's in charge now for the past 7 years, was the founder of the first record label in Jamaica back in the 50s, wrote liner notes for None Such. And he still has done nothing, I mean, that ought to tell you where he's coming from, to protect his own Jamaican artists' copyrights. Without that, I mean, people aren't really interested in distributing their music that much in Jamaica. Biggest hit in Jamaica now is very, very lucky to clear 10,000 copies. That's a massive hit. In the 70s, in the height of it, you could sell 80, 100,000 copies of a number one single. But that's gone. The economy is kaput. Economy is all illegal economy now.
Do you want to discuss why you left the radio program, or are you tired of
I don't
the
mind
story?
it. No, I mean, I haven't been public with it. I've been underground for 8 months, totally
Yeah.
underground. There are 20 reasons. It depends on what day of the week you ask me and what
Oh,
context
yeah.
I'm asked in. I felt that after 8 years, and as I say, 395 consecutive Sundays, that I had said basically what I had to say, and it was time to let somebody else have a voice. And I had different work to do. I had enormous amounts of material that I'd never heard at least once, and I spent all of the past 8 months, 12, 16 hours a day, cataloging, catching up. Even when I was driving to a gig in L.A., I'd be cataloging tapes in the car as I drove through the streets. And I finally caught up about 4 weeks ago, just in time to beat the third earthquake we've had since October. The first one took my listening stacks. I had 800 broken cassettes on the floor of my music room. Spooky. So I'm trying to get it in adequate shape for a museum to assume control of my archive, because I've got over 190,000 reggae titles.
Are you familiar with Cool Herc at all?
Cool Herc?
Yeah.
It's a dance in Mexico, isn't it? Cool Herc?
Come.
Ooh, the tide is turning. Ooh. Hey, don't touch that high voltage.
No, he's that Jamaican guy that moved up to the Bronx in the late
Cool Herc.
in the late 60s, and then brought out a sound system into the Bronx in 73 and started playing
Reggae?
He started with reggae, but the New Yorkers didn't accept reggae, and so he switched to R&B.
Oh,
And then,
bad move, Herc.
and yeah, and brought the Jamaican style, not the rhythm of Jamaican toasting, but the doing of toasting to New York.
So did he lead to Run DMC and Shinehead and all that
That's
crop?
what they say.
Oh, really?
That's what they say. A Jamaican is at
Great.
the root of it.
See, that's why I have to come back here. I have to find out the true history. Have to find out from some guy in Rochester that there were Spanglers.
Have you noticed the crossover that's happening now between R&B rap and Jamaican rap?
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful.
What do you think's going to come of that? Anything?
I think it's going to bring people to the roots, just as the Clash brought people, just as the Police did.
Do that again.
Just as the Police did. What an arrogant bunch of putzes they are. Because they could have taken a Jamaican act on the road with them at least once and made him their opener or made them their opening act and given back to the Jamaican people a little something for what they ripped off from the Jamaican culture. They've never acknowledged that.
Jamaicans are used to being ripped off.
Nobody should ever be used to being ripped off.
I know, but you know.
But it's true.
Yeah.
But they're ripped off by their own people. I mean, just what I was talking about, the lack of an adequate copyright protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I tease people a little more with what I'm going to show Thursday?
Please do.
I've got an Ethiopian famine relief benefit from 1973 in Edmonton, Canada, with Peter and Bob. It is the only film I have of the insouciant, flirtatious young Bob who had... I showed it to family a couple of weeks ago in L.A. when he was visiting, and he said, "That's Bob Go for Broke Bob. That's Bob with nothing left to lose." As the album had just come out and it had flopped, and and Bunny had quit, and Bob didn't care anymore. He was just going to do it.
Yeah.
And he stands on stage at this Ethiopian famine relief benefit, and he sees a woman in the front row, and he says, "Ooh, hi, how you doing? You can smile beautiful. Get up, stand up for your rights." And he sings the most beautiful, almost a cappella intro to Get Up, Stand Up I've ever heard before or since. Unbelievable. He's vamping while they're fixing Waya's piano. And he hits a note at the beginning that even Tosh, who's an enemy of his at this point, has to wheel around and smile at Bob for doing. So we're going to show that. That's black and white. That's the worst piece of footage I have because it flips and it's black and white, but the content's incredible. Then we're going to show the long-suppressed documentary of Smile Jamaica, and you'll see film of Bob minutes after he was shot in the hospital with his wounds and then performing at the Smile Jamaica concert. And Zimbabwe, you'll see Prince Charles saluting the Union Jack as it falls for the final time.
You were there, right?
No, I
No?
wish I had been, but some good friends were there, and I have the film. So we're going to see part of the documentary, and we're going to see a natural mystic, and we're going to see Bob sing Zimbabwe in Zimbabwe. And boy, is that electrifying. And then we're going to have Tosh talking about the Pope.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I don't know if I should go into that in Boston.
Yeah.
Can I? We don't want to alienate
I really
a
can't
substantial
make a judgment call on
portion
that.
of our
I'm
listeners,
not
do
in
we?
a position to make any
You got a lot of
judgment
Catholic
calls like
listeners?
that. I don't even want to comment.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So then we're going to go to the Whalers on Valentine's Day on Valentine Street at my home last year in Los Angeles. The Whalers dropped in on me.
Will you get that gleeful look off your
Oh,
face?
man. I talk about eating grins. I had 5.5 hours with the Whalers. In the first 3 hours, I showed them basically what I'm going to show at the channel.
Yeah.
Because they didn't even have this footage themselves. And I got their reactions. I found out from them who they thought shot them in '76. And they told me backstories about what I should really know to set these films up properly. And then I did a 45-minute video of the Whalers. And this is when they're in the house for like 4 hours already, and all it is, it's like 6 men just looking up at all these tapes that are surrounding them to the ceilings. You know, Carly is standing there with his mouth literally hanging open, you know, the eyes popping out of his head. And I asked each of the Whalers to tell me what their favorite track was that they recorded with Bob, and I think you'll be very surprised to hear some of their answers. And then for all of those like me who never had a chance to go to Tough Gong and see the Whalers rehearsing in this tiny studio Bob built, we're going to have a rehearsal session from Tough Gong right before Uprising Tour. And then a Mandla in Boston. So if anybody out there went to a Mandla in July of '79 for what I think was the greatest concert of Bob's life, I'm going to show Wake Up and Live from a Mandla, thanks to Janine Fay. And we're going to end with the best visual redemption song ever, Waya Lindo on acoustic guitar and Bob on acoustic guitar singing Redemption Song. 2.5 hours, so don't be there before, any later than 7:30, because we're going to start right at 8 o'clock.
Hey, why don't you give me something else to put in the tape deck, and while I'm doing
Lee
that...
Scratch Perry live in Poland. Roly Poland, Eskimos in Poland. I am the elf on the shelf.
All right, that'll work. And while I'm doing this, can't you just tell us what Peter Tosh's favorite song was? That he
Favorite
recorded
song?
With the Whalers that you were just talking about?
Oh, no, it was the Whalers band telling me that. Peter, I wonder what Peter's would have been. I talked to Peter a couple of weeks before he was killed, and he would call me, because he had none of his stuff, and he was always calling me for material. And to my great regret, brain damaged as I am, I can't remember. He called me for a song that he wanted to re-record for his next album, and I taped it that day and mailed it off that day, and I can't remember what it was. I can't remember. I know he liked Here Comes the Judge a lot and had often planned to re-record that. Do you know that song? Where he calls history's great criminals before the dock?
No, I don't know that
Christopher Combolos and Bartholomew de los Casos, and the voice of all these people quivering before the ultimate judge is Joe Gibbs himself.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor. So he thought that was judgment.
It's kind of reminiscent of Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd, absolutely.
You know what, Roger? It's 1 minute before
We
8
can't
o'clock.
run over, can we?
We really can't.
No, so we won't.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for all the time, Jennifer.
Yeah. All right, here we go. You are in tune to FM 80. I said here we go before. You are in tune to FM 88.9 WERS in Boston. This is Rockers. My name's Jennifer Spangler. Please stay tuned for 88.9 at night with John Speaks.
Then can I livicate this to Preg Judy Davis, who's about to pop a squab any second?
I think she's hearing you. I think you just did it.
Live and direct. This is Lee Scratch Perry, Roly Poly. And the Roland and the Poland radio station. Live and direct with Erect. You wreck. I give, you take. You give, I take.